Hey guys, welcome back. We're doing another Car Chronicles today, and we're talking about believing in you achieving your goal. Now, let me tell you why this came up, because I think that for all of us high achieving women, we're very used to wanting the practical steps on how to achieve a goal, right? So when you think about weight loss, there's a reason that probably so many of us, I know I am, raising my hand with you, and I think many of you, we focus on what are the things I have to do to lose weight. And I think this is incredibly important. It's like why inside Unstoppable you learn what to do on day 0 before we ever even get to coaching. Because the actions really do matter. What you have to do totally matters. So this is where I think a lot of us focus on what we're going to eat, the plan, the spreadsheet, the counting, the calculating. Like we focus a lot on that. And we do this sometimes, and I know that I do this, we do this sometimes at the expense of believing in our ability to reach the goal. And let me tell you how you might find yourself doing this. And if this is you, I want you to know nothing is wrong, okay? There's no actual problem here. Nothing has gone wrong. It's very practiced, and it's also something that you might catch yourself doing, because what I'm talking about, believing in you achieving the goal, is kind of intangible, right? You might be like, wait, but how do I do that, right? Speaking back to like, we want to focus on how to do things as steps. When you're like, oh, but how do I believe in my goal? We're going to talk about that. But sometimes you might find yourself, because it feels flu. I'm laughing because this is like so me. That's like so flu. That's like not tangible, like believing in myself. Like, I mean, not even a little bit of an eye roll, but like a big eye roll, right? How many of you have done this? It's like, yeah, you can't see because I'm wearing my sunglasses, it's super bright. Like you're like rolling your eyes like, yeah, believing in my goal, blah, blah. I believe, yeah, sure. Guys, the way that you know that you might not be believing in your goal, the way that you know you might not be really believing that you can reach your ideal weight, is when you spend a lot of your time, energy, and bandwidth on the doing, okay? I mean, I may or may not be speaking from personal experience. When you find yourself just focusing on the calendar and the spreadsheet and like the task list and the times and like the meal prepping and what's in your pantry and what's not in your pantry and the intermittent fasting window that you're going to stick to and the flour and the sugar that you're not going to eat, when you find yourself spending more of your time, energy, and bandwidth on that, it can be a signal. I'm not going to say always. It's rarely, nothing's ever always, but it's often a signal to me as your coach, because I'm all of your guys' coaches. It's a signal to me as your coach that you might be trying to compensate for your lack of belief in your ability to reach your goal. You might be trying to compensate for that. And what I wanted to say is, often you don't actually know you're doing this. You think that you're just, being practical. You're focusing on what you have to do and what you might not realize. And this is only because coaching in itself, as like a strategy to lose weight, having coaching and mindset work be a core and central principle of weight loss, might feel kind of new for you. So it's just practice that you've focused on all the actions you have to take, the foods you have to eat or not eat, the windows you're going to eat in. But what this really does reveal is that likely there is some piece of you that is trying to compensate for not believing. Now, I want all of you, if you were just really honest for a moment, answer this question. I recommend writing this down and answering why. Really asking yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 to 10, okay? 10 is like confident. A 0 is like 0, no confidence. Okay, 10 is super confident. How confident are you that you can hit your goal? I want you to think about however much weight you have to lose, okay? This could be you have 5 pounds to lose, you have 50 pounds to lose, okay? The number of pounds on the scale doesn't matter. I want to know, how confident are you? Share in the comments below when I share this video. Share in the comments below. I would love to know, how confident are you that you can hit your goal? And then I want you to answer this question. Why that number? Now, for me, I would say for many, many, many years, not surprisingly, the years that I was stuck on the scale, I was probably like a 4, 5, maybe 6 on a good day. 6 would be like, New Year's. No, New Year's would be maybe like a 7 because I would have like a little gust of motivation. This is the year. Okay, we're not doing any of that. I'm saying like just typically how confident I was probably 4, 5, 6. And the thought creating that level of confidence for me was like, maybe I can do it. Like maybe I can. But the subconscious layer underneath that was like, but look at all the times that I haven't. Like look at the past. I would look at the past as though it was data, as evidence for what I was capable of creating in my future. And so what would happen is because I was just like a 4, 5, 6 confidence, I like the emotion that I had in my body wasn't like deep in belief. And so what I would do, like a self-fulfilling prophecy, is I would take action from that 4, 5, 6 place. So not being very steeped in belief, not being completely confident, not being like really believing that I can achieve this, at the smallest hurdles, at the smallest road bumps, at the smallest imperfections, I would quit. So that's what this looks like. When you're not deep in belief that of course you're going to hit your goal, I don't care it's 5 pounds or 50 or 100, like just feeling belief that it's going to happen, the smallest obstacles turned into roadblocks. The smallest obstacles turned into dead ends. And no wonder every time I meet an obstacle, a dead end, I stayed stuck on the scale. So I might lose a few pounds and then I would have like a weekend where I didn't pay attention, or I would have a weekend where like, I'd go to like the party or the celebration and I would eat all the cake and all the nachos. Like they didn't have nacho celebrations. What would they have? They'd have like all the pasta dishes, like everything, the pizza, because you all know I love pizza. And I would gain a few pounds over the weekend and I'd be like, see, knew it. And that would be the reason. Okay, I want you to really think about this, because I didn't believe that this was just an obstacle that I could like glean wisdom from and learn from and understand. Because I didn't think about it like that. I didn't think about it like that because I didn't really believe I was going to hit my goal. I was like, see, there you go again, Priyanka. There you go again. I mean, I want you to really see how that level of belief and confidence was the reason that I stayed stuck. Now, just to pivot, that doesn't mean you have to be in 10 out of 10 belief. You're not going to be in 10 out of 10 belief if you haven't done it yet. I know when I was 200 pounds and I was like, oh my gosh, I have so much weight to get to my dream ideal weight. I have so much weight to lose. I can't even visualize it. Forget create it. I can't even imagine. I mean, it felt kind of like laughable almost, to be very honest. It felt a little laughable. It felt like a little ludicrous. Like, I mean, I don't remember ever being at my dream ideal weight in my adult life. Like maybe right at my wedding, I was like at the closest that I had ever been, but like that lasted a minute, then I gained it all back. So I didn't have to be a 10 out of 10 belief, okay? 10 out of 10 confidence. But I had to believe more than not. So what I was doing before coaching especially, and before learning these mindset tools that I do with my clients, is I was at 4 or 5, sometimes a 6, but mostly the 4 or 5. And I want you to just see that if you think about like a scale, my feelings of belief in myself did not outweigh the disbelief. And I want all of you to think about, you don't have to go to 10 out of 10 belief. It's not necessary because you haven't done it. But what might it be like for you to believe a little bit more, like a 7 or an 8, that hitting your ideal weight, reaching it, is absolutely not just possible, but inevitable even for you. I don't care how much evidence you have created. I don't care how many times you have tried and failed. You could have tried and failed once or 100 times. It just doesn't matter to me because I know as your coach, it's just totally possible. But the biggest obstacle, the biggest dead ends is we just don't even try. We kind of quit in advance. We withhold we withhold like actual delicious attempts at learning and gleaning wisdom and trying because we are just not deeply believing that it's totally possible. So I wanted to come on this little Car Chronicles with you because I see this coming up for me, not with weight loss, but in other areas of my life. This is why this is so good. Okay, because I've done this work with weight loss and I uncovered, like, for me, I was able to go from a 4 to 5 to like an 8/9 because when I learned about coaching, when I started to be like really, really thoughtful about how coaching and thought work was the reason that I wasn't at my ideal weight, I jumped ship right away. I was like, oh, this was the piece that I really needed that I didn't have. So for me, going from a 4 to that 8 or 9 was very quick, and it might not be for you, and that's totally okay. But if you feel that, like, that intuitive feeling in your body, you just know, because you're like, this is the missing piece. Coaching and your mindset is the missing piece. If you feel that, I want you to just give yourself permission to allow yourself to believe that learning these skills and tools, having coaching and mindset work on your side was the only missing piece. It's not you, your like natural skills, your like willpower, your discipline. It's none of that. It is simply just some skills that you can now learn with practice and effort. It's totally possible. I want you to like let that belief in you like marinate. I want you to steep yourself. Can you imagine like a soup, like a cup of tea? You're the tea bag, okay? Steep yourself in that cup, like an 8 or 9. It doesn't have to be 10. It doesn't even have to be an 8 or 9 all the time. It can be 8 or 9 most of the time. Sometimes it's a 7, sometimes maybe it's a 6. Maybe after you have a weekend binge, it dips down to a 5 or 6, but then you get coached. You get coached on that. I want to tell you that will be the difference for you in really turning around dead ends and turning them into little cul-de-sacs that you just pivot around, you learn from, and then you keep driving. I promise you, this is how I lost weight. I started to believe this was possible for me. If you're feeling this, like, I want you to really think about it. If you're feeling what I'm saying to you in this Car Chronicles, I'm loving these Car Chronicles. Like, this is like one of my most favorite things. This might become like one of my new jams. I hope you're liking it. If you're liking this, if you are feeling that, like, oh yeah, like I can see this, I can feel my belief bump up, I want to tell you, when you do this work, it will trickle and translate into every corner of your life, your work life, your mom life. It trickles into everything, which is why this matters. It's why this is so important. You get to teach this to your kids. Guys, that is everything for me. It's one of my biggest drivers. I get to teach this to my kids. If you feel that feeling, I want you to really consider whether the Unstoppable group is going to be for you. Pre-enrollment is going to be happening in November. You can go to the links in my bio to get all of the details, to learn about the group. We are going to be starting in January, but pre-enrollment gets early access to a lot of fun things. I want that for you. I want that for you. Why do I want that for you? Because I know the impact of how I feel in my life and in my body having solved this problem. Listen, it's possible, and we simply get to go to the land of flu for a minute, let yourself believe it, and then just start practicing, imagining what the impact of that would be. I hope you guys liked today's Car Chronicles. I loved it, and I'll see you at the next one.